What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is literally my struggle every single time I want to take the STI out. It gets so cold that it completely kills my battery, and it doesn't help the fact that I only start it once a week. But we're gonna go ahead and jump start it and get the STI started. Not only has it been a week since I started the car, it's also freezing out here right now. It's like 20 degrees, so it's gonna be a very loud cold start. Surprisingly, after hearing cold starts on my car, I don't think they're that loud. Once I heard Camacho and Chinos with their Tomei exhaust, their cold starts are crazy. They like crackle and pop. It sounds really good. Time to get the STI back on the road. Damn guys, I miss driving the Subi every day. And I know a lot of you guys are upset that I'm not driving it as much in the wintertime. The only reason behind it is because I know how I am. If I were to break off a flare, or if I was to mess up the front bumper, I would want to get it fixed as soon as possible. I'd put it before anything, and I just don't want to do that. I'd rather not risk it, save that money, and put it where it really matters right now. Two things that I love about driving this car is being able to listen to the rumble and driving manual. Anyways guys, I want to get pictures of the STI today, and it is super filthy, so I'm here at the car wash. I want to get it all cleaned up, and to be honest with you guys, I don't know how this is going to turn out. Like I said, it's under 20 degrees today, so the water might just freeze as soon as it hits the car, but let's try it out and give it a shot. People are going to think I'm crazy washing my car when it's this cold. Oh yeah guys, despite the cold ass weather, I was able to get the STI pretty clean. Check this out though, you guys can see that? It's already frozen on the mirror, so I gotta start drying this before it freezes all over the car. She is all dried up, and damn am I surprised at how well this turned out. Since we've been lagging it on Instagram with the posts, I want to use today to get as many pictures of the STI as possible. I have a bunch of different locations in mind that I want to hit up and get some pictures with the STI. While we're doing that, there's actually a comment about a month ago on one of our videos asking me to do a video of my Subi, just talking about how I got it and I guess the journey through it up until now. So I thought that was a really cool idea, so I'm going to talk about from the first day that I got it to where we are today. Let's go ahead and head out because it is freezing out here, guys. Oh. So this is the first location. Really nice. This is probably one of my favorites here in town. I guess this is where we will start the story of the STI and the journey of it. So I bought this car about 1.5 years ago, and I bought it off of a guy named Pablo, who I followed on Instagram for a while. From what I can remember, it was only a couple of months since I had sold my bug eye. Pablo posted this car up for sale on his Instagram page for $14,000. I messaged him. I was looking for an STI at the time, and I told him, hey man, I'm 8 hours away, so will you take 13,000 and I'll actually fly down there tomorrow and purchase the car. At the beginning of it, I don't think he bought it. I think he thought that I was just messing with him, but sure enough, I purchased my ticket that night, and the next afternoon I flew out to SoCal and I picked up my STI. So we picked it up, we stayed one night in LA, and then I drove it 8 hours back home. And as soon as I got it home, I was so stoked, guys. This was my very first and only STI, and right away I started thinking of things that I wanted to do with it. Very first thing that I did, of course, was the catback exhaust. I went with the NVIDIA N1, and for the most part the car looked pretty stock. Well, it was put back to stock. The only thing that was different about it was that it was on coilovers already, so it was like completely slammed to the ground. Guys, this is spot number 2. I really like this because of the trees and the sky. Looks really good. Anyways, after I did the catback exhaust, nothing really happened for a couple of months. For the most part, I was just doing a bunch of maintenance stuff. I did the valve cover gaskets. I did like some pulleys on it. Nothing really major happened. Then out of nowhere, I get this crazy ass idea to flare my car. Keep in mind, guys, when I had my bug eye, people would ask me if I would ever flare it. I was always that type of guy that would say no. I'll never cut into my car. That's crazy. So I have no idea how this happened, but I decided to flare my car. This was right around the same time when Diego was about to get his car painted. So we found a guy down in LA who could paint his car and who could do my flares as well. So the plan was to drop both cars off. We would stay a couple of nights in SoCal. He would flare my car and keep Diego's car there, and we would go back in a month to pick it up for paint. For those of you guys who were around for that, you know that the first time these flares were put on, they did not come out how any of us expected. In a way, I kind of blame myself for that because I kind of jumped into this whole flaring my Subi without knowing really what I was doing. So that's where a lot of people got upset, because I left the car that way, flared with not a proper wheel size. I had no idea what I was doing. The car stayed flared, and you guys saw it. Those flares were terrible. I mean, they had gaps all over the outside, all over the inside. They weren't even paint matched, which I chose to do. I chose not to paint match them because I planned to paint the entire car all at once. The car stayed like that for the longest time, and I hated it, guys. Just as much as you guys hated it, I hated driving it. I hated waking up and looking at the car mismatched every single day. I also would never change it because that experience taught me a lot. So I think the car stayed like that for over a year, and I had no intentions of like fixing it. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was looking at a shop down in Oregon to try and see if they could fix it, but it was kind of one of those things where I wasn't sure how to go about it, how to fix it. I thought the flares were kind of done. I was completely over them. So everything that is done to the car right now went through all of that while it looked all mismatched and ugly. So I ended up doing a catless downpipe with a tune. I did a speed boost control, a Cobb short ram intake. A couple months after that, we replaced the clutch in my backyard. Everything that is done right now was done when it was that ugly silver, white, black, mismatched Subi. After a little bit over a year, which isn't that long ago from when all this happened, Diego's car had come back from paint in LA, and that was also not what we expected. And I don't want you guys to think that we're holding a grudge against the guy who did it. You know, I think it was a good learning experience. It taught us a lot. I'm very fortunate for those experiences, even though they did cost a lot of money. But when Diego got his car back, his paint had like some overspray, or I don't know what it was exactly. I had known about this guy named Isaac who actually buffs cars, so we went over to the shop and asked him about it, and turned out that he was actually a painter. And spot number 3. Super excited with how all these pictures are coming out, guys. I'm excited to post them. If you guys want to see them, make sure to follow us on Instagram. So not even a month later, after we had gone to this guy's shop to try and get some of those white spots buffed off of Diego's car, he actually ended up painting Diego's car. When I saw his car, I was like in shock, mind blown with how good this guy was at painting cars. So at this point, I had decided that this guy was gonna be the one that was for sure gonna paint my car. But see, in my head still, I'm like, this guy's gonna paint my car, but I need to fix those flares. I can't paint the car unless those flares are 100%. So I tell the guy, I'm like, man, you're definitely the guy that needs to paint my car. And he wanted to get it done ASAP, so he wanted to paint my car. But I had told him that I still had to go to Oregon to get the flares fixed, and then after I came back, we could go ahead and paint the entire car. And I think for like 2 months he said, okay, that's fine. It got to a point where he was just like, hey man, why don't you let me do your flares? I was like in shock. I didn't know whether or not to trust him just because of what I had went through the first time installing the flares. And I had asked him if he ever had experience working with fiberglass, and he said very minimal, but yes, he had worked with fiberglass in the past. So that's when I went to you guys and I asked you guys, should I just let this guy attempt to reinstall my flares? And it was a gamble, but at the end of the day, this guy did an amazing job. I couldn't be any happier with the work that he did. He promised me when I dropped my car off that he was going to make sure that I was 100% happy with everything, the paint, the flares, everything, and he did that. Total, it took 2 months to do all the body work, to do all the custom work on the flares, all the custom work on the front bumper. And I can only say one thing about that, guys, it was definitely worth the wait. I could not be happier with how the car is sitting right now. So happy, guys. And that's pretty much where we stand with the STI right now. I have so many things planned for this car, guys. Money is just definitely an issue. You know, we're just some broke kids that have a dream, and we're slowly but surely making that happen. Anyone who has recently subscribed to the channel, my car did not look like this before. This has only been done for about 2 months now, so it spent about 10% looking stock, about 80% looking ugly and mismatched, and now this is the other 10% where everything is completely fixed and it looks absolutely beautiful. There it is, guys. That's my story and journey with this car here. I never ever planned to sell this car. We've been through way too much, and I'm excited to show you guys what's coming for 2019. Anyways, guys, I've been freezing my ass off all day, so I'm gonna end the video here. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Fire when the storm hits you.
That's it, Brian?